money comes into that thing, we just cut a check over.
Oh, to a nonprofit.
We're just going to check on what
specifically
TimCast is
to
doing.
save our allies, which is, in the wake of Afghanistan, a good chunk of the people that were part of that evacuation stood up this 501c3, to continue doing that work. And so, and that work has gotten more and more frustrating because it's harder and harder to move Afghans. But, so we're still helping Afghans. And then we also have another part of the organization that is doing work in Ukraine.
All right. Steve Cohn says, saw Luke in that HBO documentary, The Anarchist. Felt like...
What about her now?
I was making a stupid joke. I said, what about throws?
Oh, I missed the...
They may try to drag you guys soon with that. Why, was it bad depiction?
What about pillows?
There's nothing really to drag.
Did they show you, like, doing drugs?
No. No.
Ayahuasca?
No.
Luke's, like, seeing space demons?
No. It was an interesting a series, to say the least. But
is it a series?
Yeah. The depiction wasn't, as honest as I thought it should be, but whatever.
All right. 11 Bravo NRD says, for Nick, with inflation going on, does my Ranger Up 5-year challenge coin only get me an 8-ounce beer instead of the full 12-ounce beer? Baker Boys 1 through 15. INF third idea.
I will buy the full 12-ounce beer. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man, taking a loss. But doing the right thing. All right. Powder PZ says, if we were in a sane world, Biden would have been forced to resign by now. But unfortunately, we live in clown world. But that just means Kamala Harris will be president, right? Is that it?
I like that.
That would be worse.
Yeah.
Right. Grayson Hendricks says, you obviously read a lot on history, and you also say it's written by the victor. Given that, how do you determine which books on history to trust? Been a member for about a year. Love the show. Don't know. You don't. History is written by the victors. You can try and find depictions from other people. So I'm really interested in, I mentioned this a couple times. I went to Stonewall Jackson's headquarters for when he was running defense for the Shenandoah Valley. And there's a book he wrote, and I'm like, I'd like to read it. But that's how you do it, Like, that dude certainly wrote his perspective on the Civil War. You can read his perspective. I mean, Hitler wrote a book. Like, you can read it if you want to, So, but it is true. There's a lot on history that's fake. And when you look at how the media operates today, you know that it's probably faker than you thought. What do you do? No idea.
I wonder, there's that message that smallpox wiped out the Native American population, 90% of it. I'm starting to even question that. That's what we were told. For all I know, they went in there with weapons and killed them all. And they were like, no, disease did it. It wasn't us.
Zach McKeel says, someone tell Nick to bring back BNN or apologize to the plants for wasting the oxygen they worked so hard to make. JK, probably. What was BNN?
So for a few years, we had this show called The Bad News Network. And basically it was like kind of a comedic look at the news, but we covered serious topics. Like, we went in depth on every topic, but we did it in a way that was manageable. So the show was usually 20 to 30 minutes. We did it once a week, and it was like a recap of the big stuff that happened that week.
Yeah, I saw a few episodes.
But it was it's technically owned by Ranger Up, and so when I sold the controlling share of that, like, I stopped doing it. We're in the process of coming up with a different show, so there will be something new soon.
Right on. Free Men Die Free says, Blue Anon has embraced all the pillars of totalitarianism. Yep. Civil war will be the end result because it is incompatible to our libertarian foundations. Or, I think one possibility that would potentially avoid war is if we start building up culture. This guy, Vivek Ramaswamy, is that his name?
That's his name.
Investor goes to Disney, says stop getting woke. If these companies actually start rejecting this, then you'll see a lot of these weirdo cult people break out and be like, oh, I never supported that stuff, or oh, don't look at me, and that will kind of simmer things down. But that's a hope.
That would definitely help simmer things down if people, because most of the people who are super woke, the overwhelming majority, I'd actually say, they're what's the their sheet. Their sheet. The second the clock goes another way, or the second it even looks like the clock goes another way, they'll go the other way. They'll break off, and it'll be, if it starts happening first, it'll be very gradual, one every now and then. But the more that do it, the faster it's gonna go, and you'll see a mass exodus from the left like you wouldn't believe. because we know for a fact, because of the constant hypocrisy we catch these people in, they have no principles. They have no hard morals or ethics. They go where the tide goes. And so if the group says, no, we're not doing that anymore, then they'll be like, oh yeah, no, we were never doing that. Of course not. I would never.
Fully, you know,
That's
don't know for sure what exactly will happen, but
misinformation.
I don't know, man. It seems like things have been getting crazy. Brewmaster Monk says, forget Yuri Bezmenov, watch the Kay Griggs interview from 1998. Spouse to a chief of staff colonel in the Marines spilling the beans on Epstein-esque blackmail in the highest levels of the military. You ever hear that, Luke?
What's the name again?
Kay Griggs interview,
Was that the
1998.
satanic guy? I have to look into this.
All right, take a look into it. As Luke is doing that, I will be looking at some of these super chats. Camgirl Asuna says, I would say there are legit reasons to see the left and the establishment as enemies. Look at what they are doing to kids. Realize that these things aren't happening to an abstract group of kids, but rather to your kids. I fight to protect my kids' lives. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, these are tough times.
I've seen this video like 20 years ago.
Yeah, what is it?
I have to refresh my memory. It was a very long time ago. I have it pulled up on YouTube right now. I'm going to rewatch it, but it's 2 hours long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeremy B says, damn, Tim is getting us drunk tonight. That's right. Everybody, you know, I think we said Civil War enough now to where, oof. John Jones says, Tim, I'm a TimCast member and I listen to your shows as a podcast. You really need to have a members link that is ad-free, as in the last few months you have gone overboard with in-show adverts. Other podcasts offer ad-free links. We have not changed our ad structures at all. At any point. Not a thing has changed. So if more ads are appearing, it might be because YouTube automatically puts them in or something. But I don't know. It also depends on where you're watching, too. Because I think we do, what, like 7 ads in the whole podcast?
Yeah.
7 or 8?
Yep, 7. Yep, it's always 7.
But like 7 out of 2 hours.
Right.
You know, so
We
over
space
2
them out
hours.
Yeah,
wide as we
They're
can.
spaced out like every 20
That's
minutes.
not bad.
Yeah.
No, I think it's actually like way less than most people do. But it could be that, you know, whatever system you're listening on or on the back end for these
Yeah.
platforms, they could be
Try
they could be doubling them up or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I bet they do double them up. The Daily Wire definitely does more. And then if you don't like what your platform's doing, try a different platform.
We are working on a mobile app.
That's right.
And once we have that mobile app, we will have the ad-free versions and all of that stuff. Or we're trying to. It's remarkable with the way the economy is right now. It's remarkable how hard it is to get anything done. We were supposed to have construction started a year ago on Freedomistan. And it started, I think, like 3 months ago. And it was supposed to take 2 weeks. And it started 3 months ago. So that's where we're at. Let's grab some more super chats. Mount Jeeves says, is that Mount Jeeves? Some people don't seem to realize not acting for the sake of saving your possessions or money or family doesn't really make any sense. They're
Right.
killing your kids right now. They're taking everything away with inflation. I would say figuratively killing your kids, or there's a major detriment happening to the future of this country in that your kids will have substantially less than you did. I wouldn't be surprised if your grandchildren don't have air conditioning or refrigerators. And I really do mean that. Because humans got by without them, and you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Yep.
There you go, man. Let's grab some more super chats. Try and find something good. There was one I wanted to read, but I
If
can't seem to
things
find it.
continue to go as they are.
All right. The Sneck
Right.
Lady Jackie says, I live in North Carolina. None of the rest of our state, except Asheville, is like Chapel Hill. Nick has no idea what kids are being taught, and most of North Carolina sees the virtue signaling of Chapel Hill, CH.
Okay.
Right? Like, I don't know. You know.
I don't know what to say to that.
All right. What do we got here? Pinochet's Helicopter Tours, interesting name, says, as a retired Army 11B myself, to pretend government has a monopoly on force and is always in the right seems contrary to the oath I took and history. But I do think there's a lot of people who are in the armed forces who will just follow orders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've asked people.
That's what history dictates.
But I've asked people this question. So I've spent some time on some military bases. I have family. And the answer I said, if you were ordered to shoot, you know, like some guy in a street corner American citizen, would you do it? And they were like, probably. Like the assumption that people are making when you think the soldier would say no is that the person is innocent. But the assumption the soldier is making is, I trust my chain of command and my commanding officer. They're not telling me to randomly kill an innocent person. we're trying to, if they say stop that person, take them out, it could be a person with a weapon, a bomb, a murderer.
Yeah, I think that's probably true for an individual moment, but like a sustained operation. Like if you told a platoon, like I'm thinking back to when I was a platoon leader. If I told my platoon, "Hey, we're gonna go, storm Greenville and start killing people," like I am very sure they would not listen to me.
Right. Vietnam was crazy.
I'm very sure of that. So, I think give the military some credit. I do not think that in general terms the military wants to take any action against the country unless it is like a true crisis.
What was the university that had the National Guard shoot up the Kent State?
That was Kent State.
What about Kent State?
Yeah,
there's conflicting history on that.
Yeah. So Kent State, you had National Guard members that had at the time, the National Guard then was not the National Guard now, where there was like real training, that hadn't been in any kind of aggressive situation before, and they had people throwing rocks at them, and it was an You
think that can't happen now, though?
Of course, anything can happen. Yeah. Like people we're fancy monkeys, right? So like, if
that's true,
if you're not trained and you're afraid, you're going to make bad decisions. And so everything you talk, Tim Kennedy always talks about training, like if you are used to being in crisis, if you're used to,
Yeah, but the military chain of command is a lot smarter. I mean, they have people literally on their computers dropping bombs on weddings, on American teenagers, and American soldiers are doing it without any problems. It happened.
You're talking about
drone strikes.
You're talking about overseas drone strikes,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, so that's a whole other moral debate that we can get over. I'm talking about in the United States, asking like an infantry platoon to go like shoot up a town, like it's not going to happen. Like,
what if they say we got a bunch of MAGA extremists? They're far right. And they've been plotting an attack.
I think if somebody's plotting an attack, that's different.
But how is the soldier going to know that they are?
Yeah,
their chain of command will say it's happening, and they'll say, "We'll stop that," and it could be some dude playing GTA in his living room.
As a former military officer, I have a lot more confidence. Not only in the officer corps, but explicitly in the non-commissioned officer corps.
But this is no disrespect to the soldiers. It's a statement of the.
That sounds pretty heavy, Chad. You want to fill us in? Yeah, I heard about that. I thought, well, actually, I didn't hear skyrocket. I heard they were going to go up by like 0.50% or something. You telling me they're going to skyrocket? Oh wait, I'll address your chat as it pops up. I'm going to play this in the meantime.
Impossibilities. If you have a commanding officer who says, "Look, we've got a group of guys who've been plotting some kind of terror attack on a bridge.
Yep.
We're going to go stop them." Then they show up in their vehicles, and sure enough, here's the group as described, with their MAGA hats on, armed.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be like, "I don't trust my CO." They're going to be like, here's an armed group here.
No, that's true.
And these guys could be like doing a veterans memorial and have no idea, but some person wants to get rid of them.
That's what I mean. The chain of command is not going to say, "Hey, kill your neighbor, kill your brother." They're far more sophisticated when they have an operation that they need to carry out.
Chairman Powell said it's going to hurt, but it's worth it to help inflation. Yeah, and shit like that is why I say we need to abolish the Federal Reserve. Like, the Federal Reserve has been a cancer on this country since its inception. Get ready for a steady fall, but it must be done. No. If legislation today abolished the Federal Reserve, took back the government took back control of the fiat currency, and a bill was passed that required all of the banks that we bailed out to give that money back to the government. There's a bunch of other shit that I could go through if I refresh myself on all the issues with the nation's banking system and why the economy is so fucked. But basically, a bill passing a bunch of sanctions on companies that have financially abused the taxpayer and the government, and a bunch of deregulation so that small businesses could actually compete and monopolies were no longer able to absolutely butt fuck small competitors, the economy would be fixed in a few months. And it would not hurt the American taxpayer, the American average worker. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, that's gonna be bad. That thing about credit cards you just said.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It is more expensive to maintain your stuff than to buy new. It depends on what exactly you're talking about. It is sure as hell not more expensive to maintain a house than it is to buy a new one. It is sure as hell not more expensive to maintain your house. Yeah, cars, yeah, a lot of the time, like especially if you have an electric car like you do, replacing the battery is literally as or more expensive than just buying a whole new fucking car. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video, I don't know if you'll remember this, Chad. I saw a video of a guy who literally exploded his Tesla because the repair fee for the battery was more than a new car. So he literally drove his Tesla out to the middle of nowhere and filled that bitch with high explosive. Just blew that shit apart.
Look at the collateral. One last point: the collateral murder video that was released by WikiLeaks. They were celebrating the murder of Reuters journalist.
But I've got to come back after you're done.
Of course,
I just have to,
absolutely,
because
absolutely, yeah.
There is no. If you served in the military, you realize how hard it would be to do some of these things that you're describing, like where you're gonna get
Waco,
all of these guys. Well, that's a different situation, right? Where you're gonna get all of these guys to be in on some kind of a conspiracy.
They won't be in on it. So I was there was remember that failed coup attempt in Turkey?
Yep.
I gotta say this guy who's a guest, I think his name is Nick. I think he's full of shit. He thinks he's better informed because he was in the military, but what he actually is familiarity bias. He's so close to the situation, he doesn't see the problem for what it is.
Yeah.
The military, if we got into a civil war, half the military would be against the average American citizen. That's not enough to win. That's not enough to win at all. In fact, I think if we went to a civil war, the side that the conservatives would be on, whatever the teams were named, the side the conservatives were on, if they had 1/3 of the military, they would win. Do you buy into? I don't even interact with Q at all, so I have no idea what the latest Q stuff is, Blue or QAnon or Blue Anon. I don't even pay attention to them.
And I can tell you right now, if a civil war were to pop off, also whatever side the conservative side was, you would have a lot of vets.
Mm-hmm.
Who would, who would step up.
That's part of why I say the conservative side would win. 7 to 8 out of vets would be on the side that was conservative, and I think there's more vets in this country than there is active military.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's a substantial fucking difference. I'd be against the American, especially if the military brings in their families. Yeah, like I said, 1/3. Yeah, no doubt about it, man, that a lot of the people in the military, rank and file especially, they just follow orders.
Mm-hmm.
It would only be the people who had some real character, real strong integrity to realize that what they were being ordered to do is wrong, And they would either stay in to try to work against it from the inside, or they would defect and try to bring as many people with them when they defected. Yeah. Yep. Same thing with law enforcement. Yeah, I would actually argue that law enforcement is like them, but just to a less extent. Law enforcement, they're a little bit different because the culture in police is different than the culture in military for obvious reasons. There's two different sets of circumstances that have a big impact on the internal culture of those two professions. But probably 90% would fight the... to an extent. So here's, in my opinion, here's the big difference between the police and the cops. Or the military and the cops. At the beginning, I think 100% of cops would be against the rebels. As the conflict stretched, cops would more and more rapidly break off to be on the side of the rebels. Because cops are not conditioned to be obedient to the force the way that military soldiers are conditioned to be obedient to the military. And so this is a scary conversation, I agree, but I stand by everything I'm saying. This is really what I believe. So anyways, so as the Civil War dragged on, then you would see more and more cops defect to the side that was, let's face it, the Republican would be the Republican conservative people. The MAGA types would be the rebel side because the left communist types own the government right now. And if the military started shooting on people, it would be under the orders of a Democrat regime. But yeah, as the thing went on, cops would defect more and more because they'd realize, oh yeah, I'm on the wrong side of this. I should just have my bunker built and camp out the storm. Hey man, invite me. Invite me. You'll need someone to protect your brittle vegan ass.
Details have changed by now, so fact check the change details. But what was being reported at the time? A bunch of soldiers drove onto the Bosphorus Bridge, which controls entry into the Black Sea. Then all of a sudden we started seeing shooting from helicopters, and the media reported that it was a coup attempt. Those soldiers on the bridge, it was reported, had no idea what was going on. But civilians came...
if you mean by fuck fighting that you would rather like avoid conflict at any cost, nah. If it comes down to it, you will see me with a gun in hand reporting to the first rebel base you can find. I will fight to the death for this country and its original principles, because at the end of the day, despite what the leftists want to convince you of, despite what a lot of other countries on the world think, this is the best fucking country on this mudball, and it's worth fighting for. Since this country has come into existence, the world has been lifted out of mass poverty. Go fuck yourself. I'm not a psychopath. I'm a patriot. Since this nation's creation, the world has been lifted out of mass poverty like never before. We've cured diseases with American medicine. We've made advancements in technology that have elevated the human existence more in the past 100 years than the previous 2,000. It is unspeakably incredible how far humans have got because of the innovations of America. This is the best system of society that has ever been conceived. That's why the Founding Fathers were such fucking geniuses. And I would fight for that. My grandfather fought for it in World War II. My dad served during NAM. And I couldn't get into the military because they said I was crazy. But I would fight that war. Chad, every time you come in, it takes you like 5 messages to make me want to ban you. Like, don't fucking say that. Like, you think you're joking around, dude. You think you're saying something funny or you're trolling. When you say that I am under the influence of George Soros, you're literally calling me a Nazi. And I don't fucking take that as a joke. So don't say shit like that. The next time, it's a ban, bro. George Soros is literally a Nazi. He literally sent people to the camps. I wouldn't associate with him, let alone take his money.
He's like, ha ha, I'm so funny. The guy in the mirror told me I was.
Grabbed him and beat him and dragged him through the streets. I think many of them were killed. What apparently happened, and this was what was reported at the time, so it may not be true. They may have updated the story, but what I was told was, and not what I was told, but was actually on Twitter and going through the news, was that a bunch of privates, low-ranking guys, were told, we need to do a security exercise on this bridge because there's a risk of a terror attack. And they went, sounds good to us. And then they got a bunch of soldiers on the bridge. And then the media came out and said, they're staging a coup. Look, they're doing it now.
Got it.
So everyone ran up and started attacking them. So if they came down and said, we got another Whitmer-style plot, and the local law enforcement is unable to handle it, they're calling in the National Guard, their Insurrection Act. Here's a picture of the guys. They need to be detained by any means necessary because they could have bombed.
Well, he's definitely not a drifter. I'm going to assume you meant grifter, and no, he's not grifting in any way, shape, or form. A grifter is someone who lies to suck maximum profit out of an audience. He doesn't lie to me. He doesn't use any kind of manipulative business tactics. He's never once done something that turned out to be a scam. He puts out a fuck ton of free content. Like, in what way would he be a grifter?
On them. These guys aren't going to be like, I don't believe you. They're going to be like,
oh no, of course not.
They're going to be like,
of course
I trust the intel.
Yeah, but
then you could have a group of guys who are just basically like marching around demanding a petition, but they're there armed legally. So these guys roll up and they see a bunch of dudes and they jump out and they're like, don't move, put your weapons down. And then these guys are like, what's happening? They get rounded up, brought to a camp. Those privates, those lower ranking guys aren't in on anything. They're doing what they believe to be.
Joe Rogan is like the opposite of a grifter. That guy is so genuine. Like, I don't think Joe Rogan is just the kind of guy who doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
He has the self-confidence and the outlook. I am convinced that guy lies as little as possible. Because I believe that judging his character, it's pretty easy to tell this guy holds truth in a very high regard and that he has an honest personality.
Yeah, he's just like, I just wanna get high and just talk to everybody, ask them all the questions, especially the one where I ask them if they've smoked DMT.
Oh my god.
And if not, they should with me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Have you ever done DMT?
Yeah. Let's smoke some DMT.
No, Caitlin.
Talk about like deep sea creatures.
Caitlin, I'm Rogan. I'm having you on for an interview. Go.
Okay.
So tell me, what was it even like being a ghostwriter?
Well, it was basically like being somebody's glorified secretary / therapist.
Wow. Yeah, like, is that all you have to say about it? Like, I'm curious. Like, you got to tell me what the thing is here.
Well, really, being a ghostwriter, like I said, it's like being a glorified secretary slash therapist. So basically, what you do is you go in and you make an appointment with someone, and you sit down and get them to tell you either their life story, kind of like what you're doing right now with an interview. If it's supposed to be autobiographical, okay, or you get them to tell you their best fiction idea that's ever been come up with in the history of man, but for some odd reason they can't write the damn book themselves. So you know that's what you do, and usually it ends up in um, like I said, you listening to them talk for hours about anything and everything. So yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. Did that kind of stress ever like make you consider doing DMT?
Um, Many times, yes.
You should. You definitely should. I've tried it, man. I tell you, you see some weird shit, man. Have you seen the Clockwork Elves? The Clockwork Elves, man. I gotta tell you, the first time I smoked DMT and I saw the Clockwork Elves, I was like, what the fuck am I seeing? And then I did it again, and I kept seeing them, and I fucking read all these accounts from other people who've done DMT and seen the Clockwork Elves, and I'm just like, how did we all see the same thing?
Right, yeah.
Wild,
But did you get to the point where they told you their names?
Okay. All right, that's the end of the bit. I just wanted to show you how quick I could take it to DMT as Joe Rogan. Classic.
Man, he should make that like the first question on his. So.
It would be so hilarious if he played into the meme and he just like started like every like randomly like every 2, 3, 8 interviews, he fucking just opens up with, "So, have you done DMT?"
Yeah.
That would be so great if he just started and he always like made sure that that was gonna be the first question with like his super straight laced ultra straight edge type guess. That would be the funniest fucking thing, bro. He's just some fucking Catholic priest who went to private school from England, like sits down, and Joe Rogan is just like, "So, Padre, you ever done DMT?"
Yeah. And then the guy's like, "Yes."
I was not always a man of God.
But then I smoked DMT.
Facts. Facts. Having an existential crisis? Do DMT about it.
That's right. Yeah.
Not joking.
Yep. Yeah. It's closest I've done to that. I've done meditations with it because your brain makes it.
Well, yeah, the best DMT is the DMT you release through meditation. That's the best DMT. Highest quality, most bioavailable, all that good shit. Ayahuasca is not a great way to go, let me tell you.
No.
Let me tell you, that was the roughest night of my life. And I've been covered in third-degree burns.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? Dropping the hyperbole a little bit. Not the roughest night of my life. The time I got the third-degree burns was worse by a decent margin. Just taking the hyperbole down and just actually thinking about it. But I'll tell you, nothing in my life has ever made me shit and puke at the same time. Ayahuasca did that. I was unbelievably sick. I think I must have shit 20 times in a night. Who's the guy in the ski hat? That's Tim Pool. What's up, in Kyle? Yeah, what's up in Kyle?
What's
How's
up in
it
Kyle?
doing, bro? I'm sorry. I was trying to. I was
Welcome
trying.
in, Kyle.
I
And
was
what's
trying
up?
to say welcome in, Kyle, and what's up, Kyle, and my brain was just like phew.
It was like-
Ah! You're gonna say both of these things at the same time.
Yeah, but in the most awkward arrangement possible.
Oh, I'm sorry about the coffee, guys. I really am. I'm coming off an upper sinus infection.
Yeah.
I'll try to get to the mute button when that's gonna happen. Actually, you know what? I'll do you one better. I'm gonna put a cough drop in.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. All the coughing it's since you're coming off of it, it's your body being like, no, this is not going to turn into pneumonia. No.
Yeah.
Get away.
Yep, that's right.
So I mean, it's a good thing.
But yeah, to answer your question in a little more detail, Kyle, Tim Pool is an independent journalist. He used to work for Vice back when it wasn't a total shithole. Tim Pool here has received some awards for independent journalism. He considers himself a culture warrior. I think that's a fair label. He's someone who's trying to create culture. He's got a couple songs out. His first one's way better than the second. His first song, Will of the People, which is on one of his channels here on YouTube. Tim Pool, Will of the People. Such a good fucking song. And mostly he just does a bunch of independent journalism, bro. He be out here journalizing.
Yeah, and I need to
Be true and correct because they trust their chain of command. But the chain of command could be corrupt.
Sure.
And it might not even be their immediate CO. It could go up way high to like some lunatic
Yeah.
like Millie or something.
Just like in Waco, they said, "Oh, they're shooting at us. We got to shoot them back."
So
and now children are burnt.
I know I'm going to make
Waco.
more enemies, but I have to stick up for Millie. I mean,
I have to stick up for... No, you don't. I think I remember Tim Pool was a Bernie bro. I don't think he was a Bernie bro in 20... In fact, I know he wasn't. He considers himself as being left-wing. He considers himself a classical liberal. But he says he voted for Trump twice. And so he may have been a Bernie bro in the 2016 elections when Bernie was actually running. But when Bernie got kicked when Bernie didn't get his party's nomination, Tim Pool was like, I'm immediately voting for Trump. Like pretty much right when Bernie wasn't selected on his side, Tim Pool started saying, yep, I got to vote for Trump. He's the only guy. He's the only guy in this race I can vote for.
Yeah, so maybe he's a libertarian.
He's a libertarian liberal. Yeah, he's a classic liberal who's very much libertarian in a lot of his policies, but he does believe. So he's this weird mix. He's his own man in a lot of ways because he believes in social welfare programs, and he has a lot of classical liberal stances on speech and art and that kind of crap. And then he's also got the libertarian aspects where he's just like, no, get the fuck off my lawn and leave me alone. He's got a lot of personal rights stances that don't line up with current liberalism. So yeah, he's kind of like on a political compass. He's like, eh.
Yeah, he's a political anomaly.
Yeah, to a large extent, yeah. And see that's the pattern of whether or not I like political commentators. Like all the commentators I listen to are extremely politically atypical. Crowder is an outright, open, honest, Christianized conservative. A lot of conservatives now distance themselves from the fact that conservatism has Christian principles. So Crowder is an outcast in his own camp for that, but I'm closer to him than I am any other conservative I know of.
Yeah.
So I'd be outcast right there with him. Except I have more libertarian leanings than Crowder. But Paul Joseph Watson is a British guy who's like actually like hard American conservative, and that's super rare because they're really left over in Britain. Like their conservative party is our Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah, just all the guys I listen to are like that. Just a huge political anomaly. I think he believes in liberation values more than others. If you're talking about Tim Pool, I think so. Yeah.
Like I'll tell you right now, I don't know that anybody other than Senator Tillis leaned forward more to help with the extraction of the folks in Afghanistan. You know, it's important.
But I can respect
it's
the good,
it's
you know what
it's
I mean?
important to remember that, you know, one, Milley is not the president. He serves at the benefit of the president, and two, he is not a commander. You know, he is in a purely advisory role. You know, so
Distracted
like
by the cat.
No, it's no problem. Like, you know, I know for a fact that he was not. You know, he did not support the decisions that were made around the extraction of Afghanistan. And so, like, hey, listen, if you want to criticize him for other things, I mean, like, you know, there's certainly, you know, as with all people, there's good and bad. But I will tell you that, like, he gets a lot of heat, but he was one of the only people fighting for the Afghan people during the extraction.
We'll grab one more here. Oka, how do I pronounce this? Okami Horo says, Nick is 100% correct about localizing your efforts.
Yes.
Furthermore, people like this tend to be more involved in their local elections, school boards, etc. Effort should be placed locally, and over time it will grow. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Vote locally, focus on your schools, focus on your neighbors, meet your neighbors, talk to your neighbors, organize with your neighbors, and really, if everybody at the grassroots worked towards their community, then we'd have one big, beautiful community up top. All right.
100%.
If you haven't
true.
already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your
true.
friends, smash that like button. I said that. And go to timcast.com, become a member, check out all of our member content.
Hello.
Check
Yo.
out the Castle
Red
vlog,
Greenpeace, what's
because we've been
up?
slowly improving
How's it
it,
going
doing
today,
more
man?
episodes, more guest cameos.
Yeah.
Apparently
I
this past
apologize.
episode,
I
people
don't
were saying is
speak
their
Russian.
favorite because we had a bunch of crazy
If
cameos.
that's not
like
Russian,
Frey,
I apologize.
Frey, and
He's great.
If it's,
other
I just don't
people
speak
did
any of the
cameos to
Slavic,
appear in the Cast
Eastern
Castle
European
vlog.
languages.
So we want to improve the quality. That's what we're working on. We're getting better at it every week, and we're going to have a new episode every Tuesday at 7 p.m. You can follow the show at TimCast IRL. You can follow me at TimCast. Nick, do you want to shout anything out?
Hello.
Yeah, just, you know, check out Send Me on Amazon
How
Prime.
you doing tonight, bro? Welcome in.
Supports.
Are you an American? Are you? I mean, judging by your first chat, you're probably not American. But what are you doing around Twitch, man? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Looking through politics, Twitch, bro. What do you want to talk about? What subjects you following lately? Any stories I haven't heard about? I love coming across new ones. I'm trying to widen the sphere of news I take in while keeping it focused to the stuff I want to pay attention to, and it's a tricky skill to learn.